Okay. I'm doing a little pause at the beginning because sometimes I don't know what it is. The start of the show gets cut off. It gets cut off. But anyways, what's up, Black Man? I'm Jamal Calpin, and welcome to the Beneficial Black Man channel, where we focus on overcoming gray mediocrity to become beneficial for our community by discussing faith, creativity, personal development, and mental and emotional health management. How y'all doing? Hope you're protecting your mental, finding time for an emotional release valve, and continue to strive to become a beneficial Black man. All right, so welcome to the study hall. This is a late night session because that's just how my schedule worked out today. But gonna react or review. I don't know which one I should say, but I'm gonna watch this video. It's a TED Talk by a Colin Stokes, and it's entitled "How Movies Teach Manhood." And so the whole premise again with the study hall is I'm gonna be watching and sharing with you all my process of the things that I'm researching, the things that I'm studying to help me become a beneficial man. You know, all of this is a process. I'm at no point saying that I've got it all figured out, but I figured, might as well share some work with you, share some study with you, so that you, Black man, you can continue to grow as well as I grow. So let's get into this video. It's not that long. It's like 13 minutes. Let's check it out and let's see what we can learn. Again, it's entitled How Movies Teach Manhood. And I'm really, really curious about this because I think media definitely has a huge impact on us, and the things that we learn about masculinity, things that we learn about manhood, how we carry ourselves as men. So I'm really, really curious to see what he says and what he talks about in his TED Talk.
You know, my favorite part of being a dad is the movies I get to watch. I love sharing my favorite movies with my kids, and when my daughter was 4, we got to watch The Wizard of Oz together. Totally dominated her imagination for months. Her favorite character was Glinda, of course. Gave her a great excuse to wear a sparkly dress and carry a wand. But you know, you watch a movie enough times, and you start to realize how unusual it is. Now, we live today in a...
Oh, sorry, hold on. Let me rewind it. Okay, let me go back a little bit. I'll speed it up too. Let's just do 1.2. Sorry, I wasn't sharing the screen with you guys. All right, let's try this again.
You know, my favorite part of being a dad is the movies I get to watch. I love sharing my favorite movies with my kids, and when my daughter was 4, we got to watch The Wizard of Oz together. Totally dominated her imagination for months. Her favorite character was Glinda, of course. Gave her a great excuse to wear a sparkly dress and carry a wand. But you know, you watch a movie enough times, and you start to realize how unusual it is. Now, we live today and are raising our children in a kind of children's fantasy, spectacular industrial complex. But The Wizard of Oz stood alone. He did not start that trend. 40 years later was when the trend really caught on, with, interestingly, another movie that featured a metal guy and a furry guy rescuing a girl by dressing up as the enemy's guards. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
All right.
Now, there's a big difference between these two movies, a couple of really big differences between The Wizard of Oz and all the movies we watch today. One is there's very little violence in The Wizard of Oz. The monkeys are rather aggressive, as are the apple trees. But I think if The Wizard of Oz were made today, the wizard would say, Dorothy, you are the savior of Oz that the prophecy foretold. Use your magic slippers to defeat the computer-generated armies of the Wicked Witch. But that's not how it happens. Another thing that's really unique about The Wizard of Oz, to me, is that all of the most heroic and wise and even villainous characters are female. Now, I started to notice this when I actually showed Star Wars to my daughter, which was years later, and the situation was different. At that point, I also had a son. He was only 3 at the time. He was not invited to the screening. He is too young for that. But he was the second child, and the level of supervision had plummeted. So he wandered in, and it imprinted on him like mommy duck does to its duckling. And I don't think he understands what's going on, but he is sure soaking in it. And I wonder what he's soaking in. Is he picking up on the themes of courage and perseverance and loyalty? Is he picking up on the fact that Luke joins an army to overthrow the government? Is he picking up on the fact that there are only boys in the universe except for Aunt Beru? And of course, this princess who's really cool, but who kind of waits around through most of the movie so that she can award the hero with a medal and a wink to thank him for saving the universe, which he does by the magic that he was born with. Compare this to 1939 with The Wizard of Oz. How does Dorothy win her movie? By making friends with everybody and being a leader. Like, that's kind of the world I'd rather raise my kids in. Oz, right? And not the world of dudes fighting, which is where we kind of have to be. Why is there so much force, capital F force, in the movies we have for our kids and so little Yellow Brick Road? I mean, there is a lot of great writing about the impact that the boy violent movie has on girls, and you should do that reading. It's very good. I haven't read as much on how boys are picking up on this vibe. I know from my own experience that Princess Leia...
Sorry, I don't have much to comment on right now. This is actually pretty interesting. This is really interesting. I guess the difference, because I don't think I ever would have picked up on that in regards to Dorothy being the heroine, ultimately in that story.
did not provide the adequate context that I could have used in navigating the adult world that is co-ed. I think there was a kind of first kiss moment when I really expected the credits to start rolling, because that's the end of the movie, right? I finished my quest, I got the girl, why are you still standing there? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. The movies are very, very focused on defeating the villain and getting your reward, and there's not a lot of room for other relationships and other journeys. It's almost as though if you're a boy, you are a dopey animal, and if you were a girl, you should bring your warrior costume.
Ooh. That's okay. That's interesting.
I mean, there are plenty of exceptions, and I will defend the Disney princesses in front of any of you. But they do send a message to boys that the boys are not really the target audience. I mean, they are doing a phenomenal job of teaching girls how to defend against the patriarchy, but they're not necessarily showing boys how they're supposed to defend against the patriarchy. There's no models for them.
Mm.
And we also...
I think that's interesting for him to point that out, to say that there's no model for men to fight against the patriarchy. I'm trying to think of like all the movies that would appeal to young boys. And yeah, like even if him using the example of Star Wars, well, of course the villain in the movie, the villains are men, and it's not necessarily patriarchy. It's not defined that way. It's defined as just like evil, like Luke and the rest of the Jedis have to fight against the evil system that exists. They don't identify it as patriarchy. It's just evil. Compared to, he's given the example of Beauty and the Beast. And is that even fighting against the patriarchy? If you think about the Beauty and the Beast, like, what's his name? Gusteau or something like that. He was a jerk. He definitely was. And I guess technically he was the villain because he wanted to kill the Beast, right? He wanted to kill the Beast, and of course he wanted Belle. That's interesting. It makes me want to go back and watch that movie. All right, let's keep going.
Also have some terrific women who are writing new stories for our kids. And as three-dimensional and delightful as Hermione and Katniss are, these are still war movies. And of course, the most successful studio of all time continues to crank out classic after classic, every single one of them about the journey of a boy, or a man, or two men who are friends, or a man and his son, or two men who are raising a little girl. Until, as many of you are thinking, this year, when they finally came out with Brave. I recommend it to all of you. It's on demand now. Do you remember what the critics said when Brave came out? Oh, I can't believe Pixar made a princess movie. It's very good. Don't let that stop you.
I will say, I haven't seen Brave, and that's not intentional. I think by the time it was coming out, I wasn't necessarily actively going to go see Pixar movies. Not that I know of, but I do have Disney Plus, so maybe I can watch it. But I think about other Disney movies like Pocahontas, Mulan, but I know there's a lot of criticism with those too in regards to, I guess, masculinity and patriarchy and stuff like that. All right, let's keep going. I don't want to keep interrupting him. It's a short video, so this shouldn't take too long.
Now, almost none of these movies pass the Bechdel test. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's not yet caught on and caught fire, but maybe today we will start a movement. Alison Bechdel is a comic book artist, and back in the mid-'80s, she recorded this conversation she'd had with a friend about assessing the movies that they saw. And it's very simple. There's just 3 questions you should ask. Is there more than one character in the movie that is female who has lines? So try to meet that bar. And do these women talk to each other at any point in the movie? And is there conversation about something other than the guy that they both like?
Okay, so that's interesting. I've never heard of this. The Bechdel test. Are there at least 2 women? Okay. Do they talk to each other? Okay. About something other than a man. So the first movie that I was thinking of, just because I think it's popular right now, was was the Fast and the Furious franchise. And I guess it wouldn't, at least the first movie wouldn't pass the Bechdel test. I haven't seen the rest of them. I think the last Fast and Furious movie I saw was maybe Fast 5. But this wouldn't pass the Bechdel test. Because if I think about it, it was about, what's his character's name? Vin Diesel's character. They're usually always talking about him or things related to him. And there aren't that many women characters in Fast 5, in the Fast and the Furious franchise. That's interesting. Are there at least 2 women? Do they talk to each other about something other than a man? Interesting. All right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. 2 women who exist and talk to each other about stuff. It does happen. I've seen it, and yet I very rarely see it in the movies that we know and love. In fact, this week I went to see a very high-quality movie, Argo, right? Oscar buzz, doing great at the box office, a consensus idea of what a quality Hollywood film is. Pretty much flunks the Bechdel test. And I don't think it should, because a lot of the movie, I don't know if you've seen it, but a lot of the movie takes place in this embassy where men and women are hiding out during the hostage crisis. We got quite a few scenes of the men having deep, angst-ridden conversations in this hideout. And the great moment for one of the actresses is to peek through the door and say, "Are you coming to bed, honey?" Like, that's Hollywood for you. So let's look at the numbers. 2011, of the 100 most popular movies, how many of them do you think actually have female protagonists? 11.
Oh, wow.
It's not bad. It's not as many percent as the number of women we've just elected to Congress, so that's good. But there is a number that is greater than this that's going to bring this room down. Last year, the New York Times published a study that the government had done. Here's what it said. 1 out of 5 women in America say that they have been sexually assaulted sometime in their life. Now, I don't think that's the fault of popular entertainment. I don't think kids' movies have anything to do with that. I don't even think that music videos or pornography are really directly related to that. But something is going wrong. And when I hear that statistic, one of the things I think of is that's a lot of sexual assailants. Who are these guys? What are they learning? What are they failing to learn? Are they absorbing the story that a male hero's job is to defeat the villain with violence and then collect the reward, which is a woman who has no friends and doesn't speak? Are we soaking up that story?
I like how, I don't know if that was intentional, but in this video, all the laughter is coming from women. And then they, like that previous shot, hold on, let's see if we can go back. That previous shot is, oh wait, hold on, where was it? I'm trying to see if I can get it. Oh yeah, nice. Look at this. Yeah, the shot of these guys.
When I hear that,
Look at this. You got these men. It's like 2 ladies. Look at these guys. who are supposed to be, I guess, very critical thinking and like, I'm learning things. But you have this lady laugh track, and he's like, this seems like very challenging to the men, and I guess it should be. I'm assuming that's the point. But I thought that's kind of funny.
That statistic, one of the things I think of is that's a lot of sexual assailants. Who are these guys? What are they learning? What are they failing to learn? Are they absorbing the story that a male hero's job is to defeat the villain with violence and then collect the reward, which is a woman who has no friends and doesn't speak?
Right.
Are we soaking up that story? You know, as a parent with the privilege of raising a daughter, like all of you who are doing the same thing, we find this world and this statistic very alarming, and we want to prepare them. We have tools at our disposal like girl power, and we hope that that will help. But I gotta wonder.
I think this is the thought this came up since he brought up the Powerpuff Girls. It makes me think about if you've watched the show, the Rowdy Rough Boys, who are the antagonists, right? It sucks that they were the bad guys. Like they were automatic. I mean, I don't know. It seems like why couldn't they have brothers that were like good, but they were Rowdy Rough Boys? Because I think it lent to the idea of boys will be boys, which clearly is toxic. But all right, sorry, I'm getting distracted.
Find this world and this statistic very alarming, and we want to prepare them. We have tools at our disposal like girl power, and we hope that that will help. But I gotta wonder, is girl power gonna protect them if at the same time, actively or passively, we are training our sons to maintain their boy power? I mean, I think the Netflix queue is one way that we can do something very important. And I'm talking mainly to the dads here. I think we have got to show our sons a new definition of manhood. Now, the definition of manhood is already turning upside down. I mean, you've read about how the new economy is changing the roles of caregiver and wage earner. They're throwing it up in the air. So our sons are going to have to find some way of adapting to this, some new relationship with each other. And I think we really have to show them and model for them how a real man is someone who trusts his sisters.
Wait, this is good. This is good. This is challenging, but it's good. I mean, I think it's challenging in the sense that it pushes against the paradigm that he's talking about. It's just the idea that, like, I guess the traditional man paradigm that we're supposed to be the heroes. You know, we're supposed to be fighting the bad guys and then rescuing the damsel in distress. When in reality, it's more like we're working together to survive this crazy world and probably ultimately topple the the major regime that's trying to destroy us both, men and women. I like this though. I wish he had more time to go further into this. I'm gonna have to look him up to see more of what he talks about. Maybe he has a book or something.
Relationship with each other. And I think we really have to show them and model for them how a real man is someone who trusts his sisters and respects them and wants to be on their team and stands up against the real bad guys who are the men who want to abuse the women.
This is good. I think that's good. That's good. I support this. This feels very beneficial to me. All right.
And I think our job in the Netflix queue is to look out for those movies that pass the Bechdel test, if we can find them, and to seek out the heroines who are there, who show real courage, who bring people together, and to nudge our sons to identify with those heroines and to say, I want to be on their team, because they're going to be on their team. When I asked my daughter who her favorite character was in Star Wars, you know what she said? Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Glinda. Now, what do these two have in common?
Magical powers.
Maybe it's not just the sparkly dress. I think these people are experts. I think these are the two people in the movie who know more than anybody else, and they love sharing their knowledge with other people to help them reach their potential. Now, they're leaders. I like that kind of quest for my daughter, and I like that kind of quest for my son. I want more quests like that. I want fewer quests where my son is told, go out and fight it alone, and more quests where he sees that it's his job to join a team. Maybe a team led by women, to help other people become better and be better people, like the Wizard of Oz. Thank you.
That was pretty good. Clearly, I'm sure if a lot of guys watched it, they would probably like, oh, that guy's a simp or whatever. But no, like, I think that's a really great thing to keep in mind. And even, let me see if I can, let me go back. I want to pull up that Bechtel test thing again. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it? But no, I think that's just trying to reframe our perspective on how we were supposed to work in community. And so instead of just being very individualistic and thinking that as men we have to kind of do everything by ourselves, but more not only that, but that the women in our community and the other people in our community are weak and helpless, or that they are insufficient in some way to play a part in the quest, the overarching quest for the betterment of our community. I mean, that's how I'm applying it. You know, like he's encouraging to trying to broaden the narrative and the understanding for young men to look at sisters or women in their life to say that they can also be leaders, and that maybe we should look at working as a team rather than trying to do everything by ourselves and thinking that we have to go on like this special magical quest and that the reward is the affections and the applause of women. Like that's the prize. When you go and beat the bad guys or you bring home the check, then you get the ladies. I think what he's challenging and positing is good. It's good, and I think it's something that we really should consider. I'm trying to find this test that he mentioned though, which I'm hoping I will keep in the back of my mind. Oh, here it is. Bechtel test. Let me pull it up. The Bechtel test. So this idea that if you're watching a movie, it's more specifically, I think he was talking about movies since it's all about movies. But you ask these 3 questions about the film that you're watching. Are there at least 2 women? Do the 2 women talk to each other? And do they talk about something other than a man? That's interesting. Like I feel like I have to go back and watch really question what movies pass this test. A movie that comes to mind right now is Cats Don't Dance. Let me pull that up. Hold up. Yeah, let me pull that up. Cats Don't Dance, which is one of my favorite movies. It's a cartoon. It's one of my favorite movies. But let's see. Cats Don't Dance. All right, so this came out in okay. This movie came out in 1997. It says Danny, an ambitious singing and dancing cat, goes to Hollywood and overcomes several obstacles to fulfill his dream of becoming a movie star. And so, you know, it goes on. He gets to Hollywood. Hollywood's kind of trash. No, it's not kind of trash. It is trash. The antagonist is a child movie star named Darla Dimple, who actually hates animals. Majority of the cast and majority of the characters are animals. And she does everything to stop the animals from finding success in Hollywood, right? So Danny goes there and he's inspiring and encouraging the animal community or he's trying his best to inspire and encourage the animal community to keep chasing their dreams, because that's what a lot of them did. They went to Hollywood trying to chase dreams of becoming an actor or performer or whatever. And so ultimately, they have to deal with Darla Dimple. You can see like she's crazy, but they have to have conflict with her. But they come together as a team to do it. So it makes me think about this Bechdel test that he's talking about. So the characters are, wish I can get like let me see if there are different pictures of this thing. Close. Oh, these aren't pictures. All right, I'll just use this. That's fine. All right, so Danny is the main character, right? Then you have Sawyer. He's a cat. She's a lady cat. He's the main character, and she's, I guess, a supporting character. But clearly, she's a woman, right? Then there's Tilly, who's a hippopotamus. She's a lady. I forget the fish's name, but she's a lady too. And there aren't that many. And then Darla Dimple, but she's the bad guy. And so they talk. Let's see. All right, so are there at least two women? Technically. They're animals, but they're female characters, right? Do they talk to each other? They do. About something other than a man? They do. They talk about working and how it sucks to be, working in Hollywood as an animal and stuff like that. And it doesn't go well for them, right? So it passes the Bechdel test, and it also encourages the main character. He's not just like a standalone hero. He has to work together with a team. And he sees the good things about the women that are there. He sees great things about Sawyer, about Tilly, and about everybody else. And he encourages all of them to work together and to believe in themselves. I guess that's a movie that passes that test. And I can see why Mr. Stokes, oh, sorry, I'm scrolling around. I can see why Mr. Stokes would probably want to encourage this kind of movie. Because, yeah, it helps reframe our perspective as men, even if you're a boy, to be like, no, let's work together. Men and women are equally special and capable of doing things. And we can come together and have a common foe that's trying to stop the collective. Let's fight against that. Let's overpower that so that everyone can be happy, so that everyone can be well. And I think, again, that's a quality and characteristics, and I think it lines up very well with becoming beneficial. It's the same idea. Like, ultimately, we do need to be our best selves. We need to work for something, for glory and for good, for something bigger than ourselves and for the good of others. And that requires us to respect our fellow man. That's male and female. We have to honor each other in their humanity, in their greatness, in their divinity, their imago Dei. And so we can't support that traditional masculinity crap, because it demeans women. And it's actually toxic and not good for men either. We have to challenge those things. But all right, thank you guys. I think I'm going to have to look up this guy, Colin Stokes. And if you're interested, you can go back and check it out. The TED Talk is called How Movies Teach Manhood by Colin Stokes. Go and check it out. I think I put the link in the description already. But thank you for joining me for this quick late night study hall. I am going to go to bed. But black man, remember this. You are called for more than mediocre living. You're here for a purpose, to live for glory and for the good of others. Let's do the work and keep choosing to become beneficial for our community. Protect your mental. Make time for an emotional release valve and keep striving to become beneficial. I believe in you. Go make something for yourself, of yourself, and for glory and for good. Peace.